Hello, welcome. My name is Tracy. I'm an independent Stampin' Up demonstrator here in Australia. Thank you so much for joining me today. Today I'm showing you my card swap for Stampin' Up's Onstage Live in Auckland, New Zealand. I like this card because it's got so many different layers to it with a little bit of shimmer with the embossing. So we have petal pink, basic grey, whisper white and silver embossing. So the supplies for this card are, I've used the Wonderful Romance stamp set, and I've used this leaf branch here as well as the Thinking of You. The background is the handwritten background stamp, which is really pretty. And I've also used the Butterfly Gala stamp set. I've used this little butterfly here just to give it a little bit of extra detail. So I've used the bundle for the Butterfly Gala, so I have the Butterfly Duet Punch. I've also used the stitched shape framelits. I've used the smallest circle for the white circle and the second smallest circle I've used for both petal pink and the basic grey. And I've used the rectangle stitched framelits. I've used the second smallest one here for this petal pink piece in the background. Also with that petal pink piece, I've used the corrugated embossing folder, which is really an awesome embossing folder. We have the petal pink and silver baker's twine. Inks for this card are petal pink, basic grey and Versamark. And I also have my silver embossing powder and my heat tool. And I have all my supplies here to make our card. Now this is just to make the card front for my swap. If you're making the card, this is Australian size card. So all you need is just a piece of A4 cut into half, and then you just score that half piece in half again, and that gives you your card base. So all the measurements and supplies can be found over my blog, and that's in the description of this video. There's also a link to my online store. If you are an Australian and would like to purchase any Stampin' Up supplies, you don't already have a demo, I would love to be your demo. And I also have a really great rewards program too, so hop over to my blog and have a look at my rewards program. You could earn $50 off one of your orders. Okay, so we're just going to get started. We're going to do our back piece first and do all our embossing together. So we have the piece of Whisper White. I have my handwritten stamp set on my block all ready to go. And all I'm going to do is I'm just going to bring my Versamark in, and I'm just going to tap a little bit of Versamark on my stamp. I'm going to pop my card front down. And I'm just going to bring in one of my acrylic blocks, and I'm just going to rub that down just to get a good even coverage. There we go. Bringing my embossing powder in, and I just keep mine in little containers. I just find it easier to use rather than keeping it in those tiny containers and putting it onto paper each time. This way it's all done in the container. You've got less chance of having stray powder everywhere. Okay, so I'm going to tap the back of that. There we go. And then while we have this out, I'm also going to bring in my basic grey circle. I'm going to bring in my mat as well, and I'm going to stamp Versamark that little leaf here. I'm going to stamp one in the middle and then one on either side. Let's pop some powder on top of it. Oop. And that has our embossing powder on it. have my heat tool plugged in, ready to go. I'm just going to warm it up for a couple of seconds and then pop it down onto the paper, and you'll see the powder will melt and go really glossy. Okay, so I've made about 50 of these cards as my swaps, and what I actually did is I had 2 heat guns going at a time, and I would use one for a little while, do 3 or 4 cards, and then I'd swap to the other one just so I didn't overheat it too much. But I will say, when I'd done these, I didn't burn my fingers, but I can hear my mum in my mind saying, "Where are your tweezers?" So Mum, I didn't use my tweezers, sorry. Okay, so the next thing to do is we're going to take this rectangle piece and we're going to stick it through the corrugated embossing folder, and I have that here. I'm going to do that off camera just to make this video a little bit quicker for you. So let's go and do that. So that's ready to go. And the next thing we're going to do is we're going to bring in the mat again, and let's stamp our 2 sentiment pieces. So our sentiment and those leaves. So I've got my mat again. This has got Versamark on it, but it's not going to hurt your ink pad, so I'm not going to clean it. I'm just going to go straight into the petal pink. And the same as we did for the basic grey, one in the middle, and I think I actually stamped off for the other side. There we go. And the sentiment, thinking of you, in that whisper white circle. Okay. Now the last little bit of stamping, we're going to bring in that little butterfly, and I've actually cut my little butterfly off my big one. I'm going to bring the basic grey ink pad in. And I'm just going to cut that out with that punch. And there it is. So it's just a quick popping it all together now. So with this piece we're going to make a bow with our baker's twine, and we're just going to attach that with the stapler. Now I have a Stampin' Up stapler. They do not have them as a current item anymore, so you can just use any stapler. I actually really liked the staple that they had because they're only little. Like you can see, those staples are only little. But a regular staple works just as well. So there we go. I'm going to cut my tails off. And we're going to glue that down with just some Tombow glue. Now our embossed piece is also going to be glued down. Off to the side. And the petal pink one is glued as well. I'm going to bring some dimensionals in and stick one behind the thinking of you. So that gives that nice little popped up piece. And this one is just going to be, I like to just squish it together so it's got a little bit of dimension. Pop a little bit of glue on the backing. And he's just going to be placed, whoops, going to be placed down just like that. What I really liked about these cards is they're all individual. So the background stamping, I only cleaned that background stamp after every 10 cards or so. So the further along in the cards, the more Versamark was actually on the stamp, so there's more embossing. Whereas at the beginning of the stamp, there's a little bit more white space. But I really like that there's a bit of a contrast with my cards. They're not all cookie cutter made. Thanks so much for joining me today. I hope you've enjoyed today's card. If you have, please give me a thumbs up and don't forget to leave a comment. Head over to my blog, all the details are there. And I also have a newsletter every month, so if you haven't, if you're interested in receiving a newsletter from me, just sign up there. You can unsubscribe at any time. And I also have a rewards program for my customers who purchase Stampin' Up through me, so you can earn yourself a $50 voucher. Okay, until next time, have a wonderful day, and I can't wait to see you all back here very soon. Okay, bye.